Hello and welcome back to Downloadable Content. Today we're going to be breaking down the news that the Baron just put out for Blade and Sorcery Nomad and a massive update for the PC version of Crystal Hunt. Sit back, relax, and let's take a look at this news. To kick things off, Baron says Nomad players, the Crystal Hunt update porting process is officially in full swing. He also continues to say I should be posting news about this one on Meta and will cross post it here and on Reddit as well. I will be posting news on the porting progress as it goes, so no worries, you won't miss the latest status on that. Now, what exactly does that mean? Does it give a definitive timeline? No, it does not. Porting something from PC to Nomad and dealing with all the bugs could take a random amount of time. It could be anywhere from right away over to a couple weeks or possibly months. We still don't know, but Warfrog has been great with giving us news of when it's going to happen and whatnot. So it's great news to hear that Nomad, of course, is in the forefront of their mind as they're also releasing patches, but stay tuned. Hopefully Nomad comes, I hope, before the end of summer. Do not quote me on that one. That's kind of just my feeling on that. But let's go ahead and get into the major news for the PC build. Earlier on the 22nd, update 1.03 was released. And apparently it does not quote unquote break mods, but we'll see. Every time there's an update, expect mods to do something weird. But let's just dive into what Baron is letting us know. Baron says the Warfrog team has a bunch of bug fixes and patches for us, along with some optimizations and improvements to AI behavior, which is massive. It looks like they're fixing things like exploits, duplicating items, and the nasty bug in Crystal Hunt where you would have a crystal literally fall through the floor if physics were set too low, which is unfortunate, and you would lose some progress there. But let's take a look at what he's saying about AI. There are a bunch of AI fixes included in this patch, and as mentioned before, AI is hell for us because we have a very complicated system of behavior trees that have way too much cross-branch dependencies and spaghetti code, which creates a system where one tiny thing changes here and one massive thing breaks over there, and a ton of iterations of time in between. So what that means is literally Blade and Sorcery has been in existence since 2018 to the public, and since then they've been kind of updating and using that code all the way up until 2024, which is where we are now. So what they're saying is that's kind of the code they've been tweaking and everything, and they haven't let go of it. They've just been fixing it to get it where it's at. And as they worked on other parts of the game, making 1.0 ready for release, somewhere along the way, I guess they didn't notice that the AI wasn't behaving as they intended, even with the U10 update. So now they've went backwards and seem to have fixed some of those issues that they didn't notice before. Baron points out there's been a ton of new staff and that it was a previous one-man operation, and the changes in the roadmap and scope over the years, which added things to the game that were never planned. So, and not that it's an excuse, he's just kind of letting us know what's happening, which is appreciated. And I know a lot of people talk about, well, why can't you just do this or that for the NPCs or whatnot? Just know that they are fully aware of what they can do, and they're saying, hey, listen, we would have had to scrap basically the whole game and make something entirely new. So they used Thunder Road, and now Thunder Road 2 is their new framework, which a lot of this stuff has kind of been ironed out. And hopefully in their next project, we see much better AI, if it's going to be a Blade and Sorcery 2, or if it's going to be whatever it's going to be. So they are aware of the spaghetti code, and they're just telling you, listen, we wanted to finish the project, and this is the completed project. Moving forward, we can do so much more with AI and animations. Now, let's look at this next paragraph right here. It's pretty big. So one of the most notorious issues to be addressed in this patch was related to the AI getting too close to the player, sometimes even glitching into the player, and it may not be perfect, but it's still a work in progress. But an easy first step to fix is they took to alleviate the issue was to remove the tiny weapons from AI when they could never effectively find the right attack distance in VR. For example, the little hammer. Another good range finding fix was addressing an issue with shield bash, where the enemy would constantly get into the player's face and try and rage find the bash attack as their primary behavior, instead of only bashing as a secondary circumstantial behavior when the player got in the AI's face. Before now, if you were fighting a shielded enemy, they were most likely constantly in your face trying to shield bash you, which was the opposite behavior than intended. The bash was supposed to keep you away from the enemy. He continues on saying these two fixes help a bunch. Where things get hairy is in waves of multiple enemies, as AI range finding issues tend to get compounded when multiple enemies are present. To help, they have amended a behavior for AI where those who are not actively attacking the player will now hang back and not crowd the player. Multiple enemies will still close in to attack the player, but who are not actively attacking will get out of the way rather than just stand there idling in your face. So you're going to have a couple of spectators as your fight is what it sounds like. Kind of think maybe old school Assassin's Creed. So this will hopefully reduce the sensation of AI crowding a player for no reason in group fights. Now he says, meanwhile, 1v1, the AI seems to be doing well and ranges all seem to be good, and an attack pattern seems to be good and working as expected. The later factions, Iridia and the Eye, will attack with more ferocity than the easier factions, such as the Wild Folk and Outlaws, which is cool. Now it does make me want to ask this question, is in earlier builds, even as late as U12, we had my favorite wave, which was progressive 1v1, and I always thought the game was the best when you're doing a 1v1 type duel. But on 1.0, we no longer have progressive 1v1 and sandbox. So I'm begging you, please add progressive 1v1 back to the pool. We need it. Let's take a look at this GIF that the Baron has shown us here. It looks like some good combat's happening. The enemy is comboing, the player is blocking and riposting, which is cool. But don't think I'm going to let you live right here. I see would you record this with virtual desktop on? I see those the black lines, but I'll let you live. But focusing on the GIF itself, that enemy looks like they're doing way better when it comes to a 1v1 duel. The Baron says the dodging behaviors for all AI is something that they need to iron out, and that it is not currently triggering properly and so is not included in this patch. So they have a strange issue to diagnose where the dodging enemy is moving as though stuck in mud. They do the dodge animation but remain on the spot, which as you can imagine is not effective. But a nice plus for the AI in this patch is that some missing death animations were restored. It was one of those things where a quote-unquote simple change, totally innocuous, caused a ripple bug effect to cause regression, and it had disabled death animations for enemies. So if you look here at the next GIF, you can see that those death animations are back, which I missed those. I love those. It was like, it felt so cinematic. So it's good that it's back. Now, the last note, Baron says you might have noticed that the download for this patch is huge, and he's really sorry about that. There is an optimization in Unity we need to activate because it improved loading times for all assets, including up to 50% faster loading for dungeons, which of course is a great thing. But that bad part is that causes all the asset bundles to rebuild, meaning a full re-download of the game bundle is needed. However, this is a one-off thing, so the good news is it should not be needing to happen in the future. And now Baron lists tons of the full change logs below. We will avoid spoilers as well, so do not worry about that. There are some spoilers and the patch notes, so be careful if you're reading the patch notes themselves. If you see blacked out highlighted text, don't hover over it, otherwise it'll tell you the spoilers. Now, looking at the enhancements, we have initial enriched presence for Steam, increased audio sample rate for a better quality. Resetting settings in the options book will now save the options with the default value, which is fantastic. They also added some logging and fallbacks if the game can't write the log file. They added the spectator hide layer, which a spectator camera cannot see. And now the inventory artifact mesh preview is now invisible in the spectator camera, but is visible once grabbed. They also have a ton of other fixes to things like nav mesh and different areas like the ceilings and sewer gate. They fixed the rotation on the rope, fixed bucklers improperly being positioned when worn. They fixed the Iridian tunic nerfing the player's focus regen. They fixed some typos in the lore for all you sticklers out there, so if you want to piece things together and you are kind of like a grammar Nazi about it, they fixed that stuff. Basically, it was a lot of like textures and VFX, some sound things as well, a few colliders and positioning of a lot of items, which is great to have. It's a lot of those small fixes that happen under the hood that overall you will appreciate when you don't see them, I should say, but you would notice them if they were a bug in the game. So it's really cool that they have a big list of everything that they have fixed. Now let's talk about the optimizations. So the build size reduction from removing duplicate assets. They added LODs to particle effects so they fade out / disappear when you're too far away from them. They optimized many particle effects to reduce their memory impact. They've also optimized Infuser VFX to hopefully reduce crashes. And lastly, the asset bundle optimizations. Now let's talk about the skills. They fixed the unconscious creature becoming intimidated. The karate chop always scared at least one additional creature. When in hyperfocus, you now move faster. Range expertise will bounce projectiles off the wall instead of going right through them. They fixed movement speed multiplier on swords slowing you down. Heat wave shouldn't stagger if the creature is already burning. And lastly, they fixed the boost jump resetting when you reload the spell. Now there's the Crystal Hunt. There are 2 spoilers in here, so we're gonna avoid those ones right now. So they lowered the golem radius explosion. They fixed an issue where you can break the golem fight. They prevented staggering if the golem is already stunned. They prevented the golem from exploding without the crystal being pulled out. Fixed an issue with the effects not stopping in some circumstances. Fixed issue being unable to respawn if you die while climbing the golem. And they lowered the meteor damage to player. There's another spoiler that we're going to go ahead and skip right over. There's fixes to the infused orbs not making you ungrab any of the orbs before they despawn, but here's another big one. Fixed being able to store items in inventory while they are infused or the skill tree holders. Basically a lot of fixes involving the crystals, the golem, and your inventory system. They also have another section for AI. They removed the very small weapons from dungeons to prevent enemies from getting too close to you. Excluded shield bash ranges from the min and maximum melee ranges, so this significantly improves the behavior of shielded enemies, preventing them from getting super close. Fixed shopkeeper movement issues in some situations, so Baron's brain is screwed on a little bit better now. They fixed the death animations not properly playing. They now prevent creatures from playing death animations if inert or destabilized when killed. And lastly, prevent creatures not engaged in melee from advancing and hugging the player. And the final topic is modding. So they added begin transaction event to shop, made skill load events static. They fixed an issue with the SDK mannequin property, scriptable objects not being treated as equal to the base game ones. They also fixed overriding ethnicity in creature tables and wave JSONs not properly working. Made some methods on the golem virtual. I don't know what that means. I'm hoping that means something very cool that modders get their hands on for the golem. But now brains can load a subclass of a module type, allowing for extended brain modules. They also added a public setter for a spectator.lock transform. Also don't know what that means. And lastly, added automatic calculation for the default value index for mod option based on default values on the method parameter field property. I also don't know what that means, but I do use the index, and I find that when testing a lot of mods, sometimes with the index, it's either the wrong button is set or like the grips are weird. So I'm hoping we get a fix for that, or that is the fix. And there we have it, my friends. That has been the update for 1.03 that the Baron released for us. A lot of fixes for things like nav mesh, items, inventory, but most importantly, AI behavior has been improved. There's still a little bit to go to get them to where they truly want them, but it is great that they have addressed it and they are fixing it. So I am excited to get my hands back in on the game and fight more of these NPCs. And it's also great to hear what is going on with Nomad. I know it's not super concrete and it's not like it's coming out tomorrow, but have hope, my friends. It will be out. Let me know what you guys think about this update in the comment section down below. Did I miss anything? And also stay tuned, because we will have a very, very special interview next month in August with the development team of Blade and Sorcery right here on the channel. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. I'm Drifter from Downloadable Content, and I will see you next time.